Do you want to lose weight but struggle to stay committed to a meal plan because you constantly feel hungry? Does food provide you with comfort when you are bored, angry, lonely, or sad? If so, you are in the right place. My name is Kristen Jones, and I'm a life coach specializing in emotional eating and weight loss, and I'm also a lifelong emotional eater. I want to provide you with information, motivation, and support so you too can learn to manage your issues with food and develop a healthy relationship with yourself. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. I'm Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for joining me this week. Today's topic, one that is so near and dear to my heart because I feel like I should at times have that tattooed on my forehead so everyone knows that that's how I am. This is all or nothing thinking. And is this stopping you from reaching your goal? And in our case, usually we're talking about managing emotional eating or losing weight, but it can be anything. This is the thing I love about this topic is this topic is something that really impacts all aspects of your life. If you are an all or nothing thinker, you know what I'm talking about. Things are good or bad, black or white. There is no in between. There's no, we don't give ourselves leeway, and we also oftentimes don't give others leeway as well. So we're going to talk about that today and how we can start to make little inroads and little steps towards not necessarily, I don't ever think any personality trait ever needs to be eliminated, but how we can get it more where we can use it to our advantage. And it can be something that can be more positive. And we don't have to always be that all or nothing thinking. So in today's episode, you are going to learn how being critical and hard on yourself impacts your forward progress in anything, in all aspects of life. That creating, air quotes, rules for yourself sets you up for failure and really dramatically impacts your self-esteem. And then what you need to do when you feel yourself heading down that spiral after a perceived fail. So what you can do, how you can get yourself when you start to see yourself going over that edge, over that ledge of I've failed, so to speak, and everything's done. It's done, it's over, and we just might as well go all the way in another direction. So we're going to talk about that today. So if you are listening on the podcast, I am coming live from the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Community Facebook group. And if you aren't a member, we would love to have you join us. Such a great community, so many amazing people, so many people making incredible moves and progress on their goals of not only losing weight, but more importantly, really addressing and learning about the issues of emotional eating and how that has so little to do with food and how it has so much to do with your thinking and your thoughts and your feelings. And so I'm just so proud of so much movement that's happened in the group with so many members. And if you aren't a member of the group, you want to definitely be a part of it. So please join us at www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough and be a part of the community. So super happy. Would love to have you there and have you be a part of all of the cool things that we're doing. So come live from the group every Friday morning. As I always do, I usually do a client or a member shout out at this time in the podcast. But today I'm going to do a community shout out, and I'm going to shout out to everyone in the Breakthrough community and also everyone in my own people in my personal network. If you are in the group or if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you know that I took a fall. And for those people who are watching, you can see I have my wrist guard on. I took a fall earlier this week, last weekend, and the outpouring of support and love and concern was just overwhelming. It makes me want to cry. It was so, it just really touched my heart. So thank you so much for all of the messages that I received, the offers of help. I want to update you on the progress of the flooring and carpeting in my house. It's one of the reasons why I'm here this morning. And I actually I've always wanted to do my podcast from my office, but The flooring and the carpeting is now going into my house this morning. So it's been a little bit delayed, but it's been it's just been an amazing outpouring of love and support in people helping me just kind of get through this. I don't usually get injured. And so when these kinds of things happen, I need all the help and support and love I can get. So I will take it, and you all gave it to me. So thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all and love you so much. Okay, so on to today's topic, all or nothing thinking. I think that most of us succumb at some point in our lives to something not going the way we've planned, something not going in the way that is in the way that we would hope, and we just decide like, enough, I've had enough, I'm done, it's over, let's not even go forward anymore, or I'm just going to throw in the towel for now and then I'll get back to it. And that way of just kind of not being able to see anything positive and just having that it's either all or nothing, it's perfect or it's not, really does not serve us as we move forward in any aspect of our life. But especially when it comes to emotional eating, and especially when it comes to weight loss. I can remember a person, I was a part of another group. I'm not going to say I was a member of another group, and it was in regards to weight loss. And I remember a woman very proudly on this in this group talking extensively about how it had been over a year and she had never cheated, never done anything. And I thought, that can't be true. That can't be true. But even if it was true, I thought, oh my God, how do you live like that? How do you live with that kind of pressure of like, today I've got to maintain this. I've got to maintain that I've kept going and I've kept doing everything exactly the way I'm supposed to do it. And that's not how I want to live my life. And it's also not going to benefit me, because I'm human like anybody else, like all of you out there. We're all human, and things are not always going to go the way we planned, and nor should they. Anybody who expects them to do something absolutely perfect is setting themselves up for disappointment. And that really is the first thing that I want to talk about, is that impact on your forward progress when you are thinking it's either all or nothing. We are going to do this or we're not going to do it at all. Because if you have a long-term goal, there are going to be lots of little tiny goals that you hit throughout your movement as you're moving towards whatever that goal is. And if you let one little misstep, because they're going to be missteps, one little misstep, one little mishap, and sometimes those things are so out of your control that you can't move forward for some reason, for one thing or another. And if you're going to give up, and you're going to give up on what you've been moving towards, then that's absolutely going to stall your forward progress on your long-term goal that you're reaching towards. So it's really important. And especially when we talk about like with weight loss, if you are going to get thrown by not eating something on your plan, you've made your plan, and you have it all lined up and dialed in, and you don't eat something on your plan, and you decide to throw your hands up and, okay, forget it, that's it, and then you're going to eat everything in the fridge. What you always have to remember is you are going to set yourself back so far by responding in that way. And you're going to set yourself back, and you're going to put yourself almost, in most cases, farther back than where you were before this event happened. And so it's really, really important to remember that when we decide to either temporarily or permanently give in or quit, we're just delaying getting ourselves to where we want to be. And that is really what we always have to remember, is it worth it? Because we always have the choice, especially in weight loss. We always have the choice. If we make that one little decision and we eat that one little thing, it can stop there. And there can be very little damage to you moving forward. But if the thoughts in your head start telling you all sorts of things about yourself that aren't true, that are going to beat you down and are going to cause you to then feel badly about yourself, and then say, well, if I'm feeling badly about myself, what's going to make me feel better? The Ben and Jerry's is going to make me feel better. That's where we get into trouble, because we set ourselves so much further back than where we were before that little incident happened. So again, your forward progress absolutely does not happen. I see this in clients I see it in clients all the time, but where I really saw it was when I was a teacher. And for those of you who don't know, I was a teacher for 17 years. And when I would see it with kids, especially out, there were times that I would go out. I was an English and history teacher and leadership. And I would sometimes I'd go out, and I was friends with all the PE teachers. And so I'd go out and I'd visit, go out and talk to them during my prep period, and they'd have classes going on. And would watch, and I would see kids who would be trying to do something, whether it was, I think the place I always saw it was like with pickleball. Like there would be like one of our teachers was really good he used to play tennis and was really good at pickleball, and kids would always kind of challenge him. And I remember watching kids try to play with him, and there would be kids that they'd get, like 1 or 2 points down. And then all of a sudden they would realize that they weren't going to win. And so they would sabotage, they would get hurt. They would, do something, or they would blame somebody else. But most of the time what I saw was they would get hurt. They would quote unquote hurt themselves, and then they'd have to stop. And then for them, it wasn't that they didn't lose. They didn't lose. It wasn't anything bad like that, but they quit before they lost, because they couldn't even comprehend the idea of not winning. And so it was this all or nothing. Like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the best, or I'm going to just fake an injury and get out of it. And that to me was so sad to see that in kids. That's like, God, you're going to be like that as an adult. You're going to have such low resilience and such low ability to be able to come back after something has happened that maybe hasn't gone the way you want. And so it was really, really interesting to see that. And sometimes we have to remember that good enough is just that, good enough. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to win all the time. We don't have to always have the victory. Sometimes, as in my life coaching program, they always say, B- work, it's good enough. Sometimes B- work is just fine, and we don't have to go for the A+. The second thing that I want to talk about is that sometimes we create in our minds these rules that we have to follow, and that's definitely being perfect. You have rules in your head. This is how I want things to go. This is how it's going to go, or else, or this means something about me as a person. And this piece is really where I think it gets really damaging for individuals when we start to do that negative self-talk just out of one thing not going well, or one, it's either I'm perfect or I'm not. And if I eat one thing that I'm not supposed to eat, then everything else is unimportant, and then the negative talk comes in. And the reason why the negative talk is so damaging and dangerous is because it then sets you down that spiral where you get into that negative self-talk, and the only way to get yourself out of it, to feel better, is to in turn then eat more or do something that's going to make you feel better. And so it's really that, and then that again imprints those negative thoughts and those negative feelings about yourself in your brain, and that's where your brain goes automatically. It goes there automatically as it is, but we need to really remember that we have control of that. And so we have to really decide. And sometimes it's really easy to want to just give in and give your brain that power and be like, I don't even care. It's too much work to try and think something positive about myself, but it isn't that hard, and it's worth it, and you're worth it. And so you have to remember that you have to stop yourself when you start to go down that spiral because of that rule that you broke, quote unquote, rule that you broke. You have to stop yourself and say, you know what? No, I can't do that anymore. So about 9 months ago, it's been quite a while, but it was about 9 months ago, and things in my business were not going in the direction that I wanted them to go in. And I was, working with my coach, and I was trying so hard to do the right things and make the right decisions and really be focused, and putting a lot of pressure on myself. And things, of course, I wanted like one day of doing the things I was supposed to be doing, and all of a sudden everything was going to turn around. And I realized like, that's not how the life works. We can't just do something once. It's like trying to lose 20 pounds in 2 days. It's like, it doesn't work. It takes time. It takes time. You didn't get to this place in one week, and you're not going to get out of it in 1 week. And so I remember I was already struggling and I was already having really daily battling negative self-talk and negative thoughts. And I remember driving to my early morning client's house, and I got a flat tire. And you would have thought it was Armageddon. You would have thought that it was the apocalypse, because I thought everything was over. I mean, I made it through my session. I got my car to the tire place. I called, AAA, got the car to the tire place, got it all taken care of. And I got home and I absolutely lost it and found myself on the floor, fetal position, just sobbing. And I'm going to say that was the end. That was the end point. There was a lot of other stuff that happened before that. But I remember thinking and really realizing, like, okay, really, what is this doing for you? And I remember having the conversation with myself, you know what? This feels really good right now. And I let it happen for about probably 5 minutes. And then I was like, you know what? This is not going to get you anywhere. And I pulled myself. Luckily, I had someplace I had to go. I had to go teach a class. So I had to splash water on my face, pretend like I hadn't been sobbing, and go and teach a class. And I remember it being so hard, but I got myself going in that positive direction. I got myself moving in that forward momentum, even though I felt like everything had like this fail. I got myself moving, and then was able to, I forced myself, and this was so hard. I forced myself, as I was laying on the ground, to get up. I forced myself to think of 5 things that I was blessed to have in my life. And I begrudgingly did that because I so wanted to stay in that pit, but I got myself out. I went and taught class. I went to pick up my car, and don't you know, they did not charge me for it. They fixed my tire, and the guy was like, I've been trying to call you to tell you that we were going to fix your tire for free. And I was just like, okay, there we go. This is it was one of those things where I realized, like, if I had just stayed in that place, now do I know, might they have fixed my car for free? Sure, they might have. But I was able to get myself out and get moving in that positive momentum and that positive direction. And then things started to turn around. But it is so easy to find yourself in that pit and in that place and not feeling like you can ever get out of it, but you can, and you just have to stop yourself and get yourself to that place. So that's where we're going with number 3. Number 3 is, what do you need to think when you are feeling that, well, I've blown it. This is it. I'm that, remember me, I'm an all or nothing thinker. If you are an all or nothing thinker, put me in the comments. Just write a little me in the comments if you are an all or nothing thinker. If you're an all or nothing thinker, put it in the comments. Just write me. And if you are an all or nothing thinker, I want this to be the last time that you acknowledge that. Because the more we reinforce that, and we reinforce that it's either one way or the other, it's either good or bad. If we keep telling ourselves that, that's exactly what we're going to keep doing. And it's exactly what we're going to keep getting. So what I want you to really start to remember is, the first thing you have to do when that little thing happens and you think, this is it, forget it, I'm not doing this is too hard, I'm giving up. I want you to give yourself a little bit of grace and remember that you're human. Remember that you're a human being, and that nobody is perfect and nobody's supposed to be perfect. And the sooner you let go of perfection and you let go of being perfect in your eyes or anybody else's eyes, the easier your life's going to get. So first off, that's the first thing you have to do. Then the second thing is, instead of always, and this is something that I'm working on, absolutely, and that's coming next, but I'm working on this, is when things aren't going the way you want, or you perceive things as being kind of stalled, or you're not, like, the scale's not moving, and you're not, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything right. Why is the scale not moving? Or like, why can I not resist that cookie? I've worked so hard at this. Like, I'm working so hard. I've come so far. Why can I not resist that cookie? Why did this happen? I want you to stop yourself, and I want you to remember to turn around. You can literally turn around if you want, but turn around and look back at where you've come. Because that's so often, we are so geared towards moving forward towards a goal. And we reach one goal and we have to set another goal. We reach another goal, we got to go another goal. And we're always pushing. Stop and turn around and look and see how far you've come. Because that's where you're going to find an incredible amount of pride, and you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I have come so far. I have made so many advances. I have done so many things. And for me, especially in right now, I think the place where I am really good at doing that is in my emotional eating, because there are things that I see clients struggling with, and I think to myself, when I hear them beating themselves up, I can say to myself, gosh, Kristen, you would have done the exact same thing, but you don't do that anymore. And I really don't. I really honestly don't do that. I really just pull myself up and just get back to it. But it's so easy to forget to remember how far you've come. So give yourself credit, give yourself grace, and give yourself a pat on the back, a pat on the fanny. It's just to say, you know what? We've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've come a long ways. And this one thing is not going to set us back. It's not going to stop our forward momentum. It's just a little pause. It's just a little, not even a hiccup. It's just a pause. It's just a rest. And then you move forward. And the last thing that I want everybody to remember is you have to be vigilant about your thoughts. You can absolutely give in to that primal brain that's going to tell you all of the negative things about yourself and all the things you can't do and all the ways that you've screwed up. And you can listen to that if you want. That's not going to serve you. So the choice that you need to make is to tell that part of your brain that that's not true. And then you need to remind yourself of the wonderful person that you are and all of the things that you can do, and that you are human. Going back to the first one, give yourself grace, remind yourself you're human and you're not perfect, but you're working on it. And that's the phrases, those are the phrases that I try to remind. One of my clients is really cute about that. She'll always say something about like, I'll just get a message, but I'm working on it. And that's it. And I know what's happened, but that's what she'll say is, I'm working on it. And that's what she is. She is every day. She's working on it. Is she going to be perfect? I don't expect her to be perfect, but she's working on it, and she's making inroads, and she's making steps forward. So remind yourself, remember to tell yourself, I'm working on it. This is what I'm working on. And I'm going to keep taking forward progress and keep moving ahead. But I'm not going to buy into those negative thoughts from that part of my brain that wants to keep me exactly where I am, because we want to move forward and we want to progress and we want to get better as human beings and as people as well. So those are the three things that I want you to remember. Again, I want you to remember that the negative, that being critical and hard on yourself, it just stops your progress. It doesn't help you move forward. It just slows things down. So we can't be hard on ourselves when that happens. And again, get rid of the rules. Get rid of those rules and just allow yourself to have things happen, but there's no reason. Beating yourself up, you might have done it all your life, hasn't gotten you where you want. Let's try something new. Let's try being kind. Let's try coming at it from love. And then finally, that it's the thoughts that you have, it's the thoughts that you create and what you say to yourself that are going to move you forward as you're progressing and as you are coming across these pauses that you will have in your forward progress. But just see it as that, a pause. There's no reason to quit. There's no reason to give up. And there's no reason to override all of the positive things that you've already done. So there you have it. So if you are watching on the broadcast in the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, thank you for doing that. And what I would like you to comment on, what I'd like you to write in the comments on, is which one of these three things do you think you can start doing immediately? So which one of the things can you start doing immediately? Can you tell yourself that you're human? That's the first one. Can you tell yourself you're human? Secondly, can you stop the negative thoughts? And third, can you tell yourself that you're working on it? So one, stop being hard on yourself. Stop being hard on yourself. That you want to make sure that you are giving yourself all that grace. So in the comments, just tell me which one of those three that you're going to be able to start to work on. Because again, We are human. You're not perfect. Are you going to try to be human? Are you going to try to stop the negative thoughts? Or are you going to tell yourself, I'm working on it? All right. That's what I'd like you to work on. And especially if you're listening on the podcast, take that and give yourself one of those things and just work on one. Just work on one. Maybe just, again, as things come up, I'm working on it. I'm working on moving forward and moving forward to progress. And I'm going to just kind of be kind to myself. So please go ahead and make sure, again, if you're in the broadcast, please go ahead and put a comment in the comments. And if you're on the podcast, think about which one that you're going to incorporate into your lives. Again, if you are not a member of the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, we'd love to have you. So please jump on over to Facebook, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough. And we'd love to have you in the group. So with that, have a wonderful week, and I will see you all very soon. See y'all next week.